What if the most powerful black man in history was erased not by silence, but by betrayal? Not by the lynch mob, not by the KKK, but by the very people who claimed to fight for freedom. Marcus Garvey, proclaimed Provisional President of Africa, wasn't just a leader. He was a threat, a force so dangerous to the global power structure that governments conspired, spies infiltrated, and black elites turned their backs, all to destroy him. And now, over a century later, President Biden grants him a posthumous pardon for a crime he never committed. So I ask you, was Marcus Garvey a prophet, a fraud, or was he the first black man America couldn't afford to let succeed? In 1920, the New York Times called him the most dangerous Negro in America. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, launched a covert war against him. And W.E.B. Du Bois, he called Garvey the most dangerous enemy of the Negro race. But go to Jamaica today, walk through Kingston, drive past the National Heroes Park, and you'll see his name etched in stone. Marcus Mosiah Garvey, national hero. So which is it? Enemy of his people, or the only one who truly fought for them? When Garvey stood on the streets of Harlem and declared, "I am the equal of any white man," I want you to feel the same way. He wasn't just speaking. He was rewiring the black psyche, because before Garvey, black children played with white dolls. Black women were told they were ugly. Black men were taught to ask for dignity. Garvey said, "No more." He launched the Negro World newspaper, circulating in English, Spanish, and French, smuggled into Africa by sailors, read aloud in villages, memorized by children. One report from Kenya said they didn't need paper. They had Garvey in their blood. Was this journalism, or was it revolution? Garvey didn't want integration. He didn't want to sit at the white man's table. He wanted to build his own damn table. His vision? A black nation, a black flag, red, black, and green, flying over a sovereign Africa. A black star line, steamships sailing across the Atlantic, carrying black passengers in first class, not hidden in the belly of the ship. Think about that. In 1919, black people were Jim Crowed on ocean liners, but Garvey said, "Let our ships sail the high seas, not one, not two, but hundreds," and he did it. The Black Star Line raised over $610,000, equivalent to millions today, from everyday black people. Cooks, maids, laborers. They gave their last dollar, not for charity, but for freedom. But here's the question. Was Garvey selling hope or a lie? Because the ships, they were falling apart. One, the SS Yarmouth, was called a floating coffin by its own crew, and critics pounced. He's selling tickets to Africa on ships that don't exist. But wait, was the Black Star Line a failure? Or was it sabotaged? Because Garvey himself said, "All the troubles we've had on our ships have been caused because men were paid to make this trouble." And now we know the FBI had spies inside the UNIA. James Wormley Jones, FBI's first black agent, was embedded in Garvey's inner circle. Herbert Burroughs, codename P-138, wasn't just a confidant. He was a traitor. And when Garvey tried to buy a new ship, the U.S. Shipping Board reneged on the deal on direct orders from Hoover. So tell me, if the government actively sabotaged your business, is it fraud or is it war? The real dagger didn't come from the FBI. It came from within. W.E.B. Du Bois, Harvard-educated, elite, polished, led the charge against Garvey. He wrote in The Crisis. Garvey is the most dangerous enemy of the Negro race in America. But why? Because Garvey didn't believe in begging for rights. He believed in taking them. And when Garvey launched his plan to send 20,000 black families to Liberia to build a new nation, Du Bois intervened. How? He became a U.S. diplomat. Yes, the co-founder of the NAACP, funded by white philanthropists, was appointed ambassador extraordinary to Liberia's presidential inauguration. And what happened? Garvey's engineers, sent to prepare the settlement, were deported on arrival. Coincidence? Or was Du Bois working for another master? Because as one historian put it, the NAACP fought for civil rights, Garvey fought for nationhood, and the white power structure could tolerate the first, but never the second. And then, Garvey made his biggest mistake. He met with the Ku Klux Klan. Yes. In 1922, Marcus Garvey sat across from Klan leaders in Atlanta and said, "You and I both believe in segregation. The difference is, I want it in Africa. You want it here." To Garvey, it was diplomacy. To the black elite, it was treason. Randolph and Owen called him the messenger boy of the Klan. Du Bois called him a buffoon. But here's the truth. Garvey wasn't afraid of the Klan. He respected their power. Because unlike the NAACP, the Klan never pretended to want equality. And Garvey said, "I'd rather deal with a man who admits he hates me than one who smiles in my face and stabs me in the back." Sound familiar? In 1923, Marcus Garvey was arrested, charged with mail fraud. Why? Because he sold stock in the Black Star Line, through the mail. But here's what the court didn't tell you. No investor ever testified against him. No one claimed they were defrauded. The entire case hinged on one man receiving a $25 brochure. And the jury? All white. Garvey was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but even behind bars, his power grew. In 1925, he was shot 3 times at UNIA headquarters. But the next day, bandaged, bleeding, he spoke in Philadelphia. Surviving an assassination attempt didn't weaken him, it deified him. By 1920, the UNIA had 1,100 chapters in 40 countries, over 11 million members, larger than the NAACP, the Urban League, and every black church combined. But the U.S. government didn't care. In 1927, after serving 2 years, Garvey was deported to Jamaica, and as his ship left New Orleans, thousands lined the docks, crying, singing, waving. One witness said it was like watching a king go into exile. And Garvey? He waved a white handkerchief, not a flag, because even in exile he refused to surrender. Garvey died in 1940, alone, broken, after reading a false obituary that called him a failure. But here's the irony. Every black leader who came after him stood on his shoulders. Malcolm X said, "My father never knew Marcus Garvey, but he wore his clothes." Martin Luther King Jr. quoted Garvey's words in speeches. Elijah Muhammad built the Nation of Islam on Garvey's model. And in Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Nnamdi Azikiwe all admitted Garvey inspired their independence movements. Even Bob Marley sang, "Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds." A direct quote from Garvey. And now, in 2025, President Biden pardons him. But ask yourself, what good is a pardon? 102 years after death, is it justice or is it damage control? Because Garvey wasn't just convicted of fraud. He was convicted of daring, of believing, of saying, "We don't need your permission to be free." So who was Marcus Garvey? A visionary? A victim? A villain? Or the only one who saw the truth? That liberation isn't given. It's taken. He built a movement so powerful governments conspired to destroy it. So inspiring, even his enemies stole his ideas. So dangerous, they had to erase him from history. But here's the thing they didn't count on. You can kill a man. You can exile a leader. You can burn the ships. But you can't kill an idea. And Marcus Garvey's idea? That black people are not beggars. We are builders. So the next time someone tells you Garvey failed, ask them, how many millions still live because of his dream? And if you're watching this, you're part of it. This isn't just history. It's a warning and a call. Because the fight Garvey started, it's not over. Hit like, share this, subscribe. Because the truth can't be buried twice. And Garvey? He's not dead. He's in the whirlwind. Look for me in the whirlwind, or the storm. Marcus Garvey, 1923.